Content warnings for this episode may include natural animal violence, hunting, knives, blood, omens, and visions.
"14 years, 115 days, 4 hours and 8 minutes before the Chosen One dies. The Transplanar Reification and Nourishment Syndicate celebrates their 11th birthday." That's right, Val, I'm not sparing you here. There is a party. There are streamers, cake, presents. But the one gift that Sing is most looking forward to isn't wrapped in a bow or slathered in icing. Instead, this gift takes place in Artemis's office. Artemis's office is austere, richly green, full of pelts and wood and hides. The forest beyond her window is dark and misty, but today, a bright shaft of sunlight cuts through the fog, illuminating the faces of the 5 individuals standing inside this chamber. The first person that we see is the patron saint of heroes, Wuyan. He paces the perimeter of this office with these intense, concerned movements, and he pauses every now and then to shoot a worried look at the patron saint of mortals, Artemis. "Are you sure they'll be safe, Artemis?"
Wuyan, please. Of course, they're going to be safe under my care. I won't let them out of sight for even a moment. Besides, they're starting to grow. It's important for them to go out beyond the Syndicate, to feel the journey in real time. Isn't that right, you two?
And that's when we pan across the chamber to find Sing and you, Seir. Sing is round-faced and jubilant. They are 11 Syndicate years old, with sparkling pink eyes and enough energy to ambiently charge a thunderstorm. They're currently wearing these intricate gold and black robes tailored for this very specific and very important and special birthday outing. Their hair is short, shaved into this kind of messy mullet that falls around their tapered ears and lingers on the nape of their neck. That's right, the prototypical wolf cut. And it's gonna be another 5 years before Sing adopts she/her pronouns in addition to the they/them they're currently using. But in their childhood, they exclusively use they/them, as many Syndicate children do. But right now, Sing's voice is gleeful and jubilant with excitement, and they're saying, "Yes! Yes! Yes, yes, yes! We want to go to the journey! We want to go to the journey! Isn't that right, Seir?" And Sing grabs your hand and drags you forward.
Sing drags forward this small 11-year-old Seir who has short cropped hair. The curls are beginning to show. The hair has grown in a little bit, where we see the curls beginning to show on his forehead, just behind his ears. He's got bright blue eyes, and unlike the sparkling, shining energy that his sibling exudes, Seir has a more quiet, reserved energy about him. And as he's pulled forward, just like everything else about the twins, their joy is infectious, and it infects Seir, and he's got on this light black Henley shirt with little bits of Chicana embroidery across the arms and shoulders, and he has a tiny wooden sword strapped against his waist. It seems he has done this in preparation of the outing with the patron saint of mortals. And as he gets grabbed forward with Sing, he goes, "We want to go to the journey! We want to go to the journey! I'm ready!
Journey!
I got my sword with me. I am ready to go."
And I'm ready too. We're both ready. Double ready. 200% ready.
Even better than normal ready.
That's right. We're super mega normal. unnormal, opposite of normal ready.
Yeah.
Artemis gives a very directed look to Wu Yin and just gestures openly.
Wu Yin crosses his arms and lets out a very anxious and nervous tittering noise. I don't know about this, Artemis. They're still just children. I don't know if I want to let them out of my sight yet. And Lucy, the patron saint of monsters, cuts in. She is the 5th person in this space, and she is currently leaning against Artemis's desk, her 3-piece suit immaculately pressed as always, and a kind of languid tail swishing back and forth between their legs.
Please, Wu Yin, you're acting like a mother hen. It's making me age.
Lucy, come on, it's just... This is a big moment. This almost feels like it's too much, too soon. Artemis, can't we keep them in the Syndicate for another 10 years? What's the harm?
Ask them.
Seir? Sing? What do you say? And Wu Yin kind of squats down with his hands placed a little patronizingly, but very kindly and genuinely on his hips. Why don't you just spend another year of your birthday here, where it's safe in the Syndicate?
Seir's eyes turn baby deer like. This bright sheen to them. He like the light is reflected in it in such an angelic baby way. And he just like looks over at Sing and then says, but we were really looking forward to going out with the Grand Huntress. Can't we? And he like looks over towards Sing, and you can see like this sheepishness begin to like bloom on his face. He's not very good at articulating himself. You can see him kind of like biting the corner of his lip as he like plays with his fingers a little bit. His anxious little lion-like tail swishing behind him, probably tapping Sing accidentally like behind the leg multiple times because he's so anxious.
Yeah, Sing glances over at you looking, anxious and nervous, your little tail swishing, a bunch of hope in your eyes, and Sing turns to Wu Yin, closes their eyes, and when they open them, they are perfect, bright, sparkling pools of pure pink and completely irresistible. Tears well in Sing's eyes, but they don't quite fall as they say, please, Wu Yin, we were really looking forward to this. And Wu Yin's chin wobbles. He's this close to breaking, like inches away from breaking, and Lucy lets out a big sigh.
See? Imagine saying no to these two. It's the only thing they asked for this year, Wu Yin. Sing barely even touched the sword I forged for them.
And Lucy is acting cold and distant, but everyone can tell she's a little bit miffed that all the time and attention she put into Sing's birthday gift this year has kind of gone unnoticed.
Lucy, don't you think they're a little small to be wielding a giant pink longsword?
Please, when I was their age, I'd already consumed the souls of 6 billion demons and had 8 heads, and I turned out just fine.
Swords and missions! And William pulls out a jade handkerchief and blows his nose with a trumpetous noise that shakes the walls of Artemis's office. They really are growing up, aren't they? And Seir, this conversation is, much to your happiness, falling into the familiar rhythm of your childhood. It's Wu Yin and Lucy doting and fussing over Sing, while Artemis plays the role of your caretaker, your champion, your teacher, your advocate. And Wu Yin finally gives in. He embraces Sing in this big, crushing hug. And Artemis looks down at you with a sidelong glance. You see a small smile playing across the corners of their mouth, like the two of you are sharing an inside joke.
Wu Yin, if you're quite done.
Yes, Lucy, I just need just one last minute, and
let you know, Sing, how much the Syndicate cares about you, how much I care about you. We're all rooting for you out there. Don't leave the sight of the patron saint of mortals. You got me? You too, Seir. Both of you. Follow Artemis closely, and you'll be safe. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, hand.
Okay. Artemis, they're all yours.
Artemis rolls her golden eyes just like once as he turns his back. All right, you two, up on the dais here. Careful, watch your feet.
Yeah, Deus! And Sing trots up.
Before the twins put their feet onto the dais, Seir abruptly stops and then puts a hand over before Sing and goes, wait, hold on. And then he takes station right next to where the step towards the dais is, holds the hilt of his wooden sword, and then gestures to Sing to step onto the dais and goes, Chosen One, onto the dais. I will follow right behind you.
Oh, thank you, brother of the Chosen One.
Is the perimeter secure?
The perimeter is secure. I will guard you with my life. Brings out the wooden sword in his hands as he steps forward in footwork that I think he is very reminiscent of Artemis. Very obviously a mimicry, probably of a child's concept of how to step onto an area while guarding someone. That's been observed at the distance as he crosses his legs multiple times to walk up to the dais, and then sheathes his sword and then salutes at both the hand and Sing and say, "Perimeter secured, Chosen One."
Very good. Then at ease.
And Sing also breaks kind of their little soldier play along and giggles alongside you, steps up onto the dais.
Wuyin, you've been letting them watch way too much Earth media.
I know, but hey, when the Chosen One asks about various kinds of tactical mission procedures and protocols, who am I to say no?
Always the softest of us.
You know what they say, the hardest shields guard the softest hearts. And besides, there's a lot to be learned from Earth, mostly what not to do. But they're very good at violence, all kinds. Well, a very specific group of people on Earth are very good at violence, but they tend to, make the laws and rules for everyone else.
Wuyin, birthday.
Yeah? Oh, right, yes, birthday! Twins? Remember, pay attention to your surroundings, do whatever Artemis tells you to do, and don't leave the hand's sight. And you'll just be fine. You'll be fine, and you'll be safe, and you'll come back, and you're going to have grown because of it, and you're going to be one step further away from being children and one step further deeper into being
As
agents.
Wuyin is doing this, Artemis turns to Lucy and goes, "We'll be back in maybe 3 hours. See you soon."
Mm-hmm. See you soon. Don't be too late. We still have that dinner reservation.
Right. How could I forget?
And a little swish of the tail, but nothing betrayed on Lucy's face. And Artemis, you join the twins up on the dais. And as soon as you step onto this raised stone platform, Sing opens their mouth to say one last goodbye to Lucy and Wuyin, and as the words tumble out of their mouth, light explodes in a pillar around the three of you. For the very first time, Seir, you experience being zapped to another world. It's not painful, definitely not painful, and it's not quite uncomfortable, but it is something, as all of the atoms and magical particles that make up your body disperse and then stitch themselves back together on a completely different plane. The story has 3 voices. The voices have infinite sound. This time, the first voice comes in the form of birdsong. It's melodic, chirruping, distant but not entirely out of reach. Light settles around your eyes, and you see a forest spanning into existence around you, Not the forest outside Artemis's office. No, this one is much sparser, with larger trees, more expanse, and hillier ground. It's a lot brighter here, too, with golden shafts of sun's light. That's right, sun's light. There are 2 suns in the sky here, a set of twins piercing through the whispering leaves above your head. Everything here smells very much like mulch and pine needles and something very, very old. You quickly realize it's not hills exactly that these trees are growing out of. It's ruins. Temples of crumbled stone covered in bright green moss, ancient buildings with their knees bent against the earth, older structures still, their purpose long forgotten, now serving as hides and dens and burrows for animals. And indeed, this is a world of animals. You don't quite see them yet, but you do hear them, you sense them. The birds, first and foremost, singing and flitting from branch to branch above your head. Small mammals skittering around in the underbrush. And you also see reflective eyes blinking at you from underneath the hollows of hidden ancient shrines. But as soon as you look back and blink, they're gone.
Welcome to Alista, you two. Welcome to the journey.
Wow! This place is beautiful. But there's also so much. It's not garbage, it's ruins?
What happened?
Yeah, what happened?
Well, a long time ago, this place used to be very different. But things grow, and things change, don't they? The forest, and Artemis kind of gets down lower to be closer to Seir and to Sing. The forest is never finished growing. Neither are you. Neither am I. There are infinite paths in our journey. We only need to look around and realize it. We might follow the road laid out for us, and Artemis gestures, and you can see that there's a winding path open between gaps in branches and bush. Or we might choose another, less traveled, more shaded. And they gesture toward the thickest part of this forest, where even the rubble starts to get consumed by roots and bark. The two of you are old enough now to start deciding where you want to go. Trust your skills, trust each other. The only way out is through, my dear fawns. So go on, choose the path. I'm following you now.
Oh, the path or the thicket? The path or the thicket? Maybe the path, that looks safer, but I feel like there'd be more exciting things in the thicket. Or maybe this is, like reverse psychology and we should go in the thicket because that's secretly safer than the path? What do you think, Seir?
Sing is so cute. Seir has been staring up at the patron saint of mortals and is hanging on to every word, every syllable that is uttered by them. And once brought back by his sibling, they snap over towards Sing and they say, and looks between the two paths. And Seir listens. He has seen how Artemis looks at the world and moves between it, and you can see this little shadow kind of like take 2 steps towards the path and listen, take another 2 steps to the thicket and listen. You see the tiny little antlers covered in bits of fuzz kind of tilt towards that direction, and he says, I think we should go to the thicket.
The thicket?
We're gonna see so many more animals over there. I want to see what kind of animals live here in ruins and forest at the same time.
Okay, I like animals. We're gonna go to the thicket. Can we go to the thicket? We're gonna go to the thicket.
That's right. You are going to go to the thicket, and I'll follow right behind you. Go on, then. Use what you know. find a good path forward that can fit all of us. And Artemis, I think even for show, leans onto her fingers for a moment to like come forward almost like an animal on all fours as she steps forward just a little bit. And even crouched down like this, she is so much taller than you are. But they crawl forward for just a moment, almost sending you back to moments when you were even younger than you are now, where Artemis would pretend to be an animal and you would sit on her shoulders as she rode you around in a nursery.
Yes!
Yes.
In response to that, Seir unsheaths, meaning remove from little simple belt, this wooden sword, and says, Ready, Sing? We'll pave the path forward.
I'm ready. Oh, shoot, I forgot to hand Lucy's gift for me, but it was super heavy, and maybe next time. You're gonna have to be my protector, Seir.
I will always protect you, Sing. And then as soon as he steps forward, hearing that we're meant to clear a path, Seir parts the grass with the wooden sword, and then with a swish of his tail and pats underfoot, he begins patting the grass down with his foot to make it easier to walk. Once again, clearly a move he learned from observation, because even this he does cutely and clumsily as a kid does. There's a point where he briefly trips on a rock and goes, all good, keeps patting down.
Now, have the two of you noticed anything? We're not the only three denizens of this plane. You can hear the birds. You said you wanted to see the animals. You might find something easier than trying to make a path all on your own with weapons or force, is to find one that already exists. Where do the animals walk?
Seir gets low onto his hands as well, and they kind of peer through the blades of grass looking for paw prints or hoof prints.
Yeah, and Seir, you find them. Tiny looking paw prints, maybe ones left by a bunny rabbit of some sort. Multiple bunny rabbits, actually. This seems to be a well-tread path through the undergrowth, much too narrow and small for 3 mortals and humans to just kind of blasely make your way through. But if you're careful about following these tracks, you can find the path of least resistance through the thicket, regardless.
Seir 100%, as soon as they see little paw prints of bunny rabbits, not even gestures to Sing, pulsing to see, because I imagine that the twins love bunnies very, very much. It goes, look.
What?
Bunnies.
It's bunnies. Bunny tracks? Artemis, can we follow the bunny tracks?
Of course you can. Go on.
And
Sing
I think
wiggles in excitement.
Yeah, I love to think that the twins both wiggle, they're not completely on all fours, but they're crouched following the little bunny rabbits, because they're both so excited to see
Definitely
bunnies, and hopefully not trying to scare them. So they're both crouching along the grass following this path as he attempts to keep their tail low and not disrupt anything. They're still making a lot of noise for hunters.
Yeah. Yeah, not very subtle in your approach here, but you're definitely also not bushwhacking and carving and slashing your way through. You're just kind of being a bit clumsy. So Seir, as you follow the bunny tracks, I want you to just roll me a d20.
Wow, I didn't know I was rolling dice today. We can.
Don't worry about it.
Now that you said that, now I'm worried about it. I rolled a 10. That's fine.
A 10. Okay. As you traverse through the undergrowth, we pass
several minutes. And you start to sweat a little, even though this forest isn't extremely humid or hot, it's quite temperate. The amount of effort it takes to walk through a very hilly terrain does tax you and Sing's small young bodies. You start reaching a very steep part of the forest. The thicket has grown even thicker. The brambles are starting to pull at your hair and the little nubs of your antlers. Not painfully, but almost like something about this part of the forest is trying to warn you about what's ahead. And Sing even instinctively slows down, stops chattering so much, gets a bit quiet, a bit more perceptive and observant. And then the three of you crest this ridge at last, and you end up on top of a hill. And kind of at the bottom of this hill, in a sloped cradle, you see two large animals. Predators. One of them is a massive ursine creature, a bear, with dark brown fur and a snarling snout and saliva pluming off of its lips in flecks. Its huge, sharp claws, each is the size and length easily of a longsword. That's how massive this bear is, even bigger than the patron saint of mortals. It's gotten up onto its hind legs, so it's easily 10 feet tall, and it lets out a roar that shakes the entire forest. And it's squaring off against an equally large wolf with storm gray fur, a snarling snout, a nose that's twitching, and these crimson eyes that are squinted as it stands off against this bear. They're both kind of, the wolf is pacing in a slow circle around the bear, its fur fluffed up to make it look even bigger than it already is, and the bear is kind of just standing in the center, turning on a point to follow the wolf as it circles it. Neither of them, thankfully, seem to have noticed the three of you up the hill.
You two, why don't you get up on your shoulders? I want you to have a better vantage point. Come on.
Okay.
Okay.
And Artemis, easily, with one hand for each of you, lifts both of the twins up underneath their arms and then hoists two up on their shoulders. So you're both like sitting on her massively broad shoulders, holding onto their shaved head. And from this distance up on top of the ridge, you can see down much easier into this basin where the two predators are circling each other. Now, we're unseen for now, but this is an excellent learning opportunity. What do you think is going on here?
They're gonna fight each other. Right?
Maybe. Why do you think that is?
The bear's standing up, and I think I read once that bears stand up to give a warning to show how big they are. But the wolf is also encircling the bear, so they're kind of just looking at each other, maybe figuring out if they want to fight.
Keen eyes, both of you. Well done. Sometimes the trouble in the woods is not about finding your prey, but about keeping it. This is a good lesson, one that both the bear and the wolf are learning right now. You must remember that you are not the only hunter in these woods, and it will be important for both of you to learn what is worth fighting for, and what bones are better left behind for scavengers. Not every fight is worth going through, you see?
Oh. And as Artemis speaks, their lesson highlights a previously unseen detail of the scene. You and Sing were both so fixated on the majesty of the predators that you didn't even realize or notice the slain deer at the feet of the bear. And it seems both the wolf and the bear wish to eat.
How do you know if it's worth it?
You know in your heart. You decide. And sometimes you're right, and sometimes you're wrong. And every lesson, every scrape, every bruise will help teach you. It's not anything I'll ever be able to tell you one way or the other. You'll have to listen.
I think I understand, but is it better to fight too much or fight too little?
It's about balance,
Mm.
young fawn. You see, and Artemis begins to walk, turning a little bit away from the bear and the wolf and heading further down, keeping both of the twins perched on their shoulders. You have to have a balance, you see, between patience. There are many meals to be had here, and some require just a little bit of time, attention, waiting. And, on the other hand, easy violence. Neither is worse than the other, but neither is better.
Well, I get it. The bear could try and take this opportunity to just deal with the wolf and go on its merry way, or it can just let it have this and go for something else in the forest. Because
Very
this forest
true.
is so big.
And the wolf might try for an easy meal, see if the bear is already full, willing to back down. Or perhaps it tries too hard and becomes wounded. There are infinite possibilities.
Mhm.
And how do we know what possibilities are gonna happen? Oh, wait! Of course, it's fate, right?
A small, sad smile crosses Artemis's face. Yes. But we hear fate through the humming of our own hearts.
I think there's a moment where Seir was about to chime in alongside his sibling. And as soon as I think little Seir makes an assumption and thinks that the answer is listening. But hearing Sing retort first makes them back down for a moment, realizing that their answers don't match. But hearing what the Grand Huntress says, Seir's eyes sparkle once again, and smiles, listening, paying attention, seeing the signs, listening.
That's right. Both of you. Very good. Now, we're far enough away. It's time for you to keep choosing the path. And Artemis kind of lowers herself down like this mountain tipping forward and deposits each of you back on your feet.
That was a lot of fun, Hand Artemis. Can we ride your shoulders some more in the future?
Anytime.
Yes. Okay, Seir.
Go ahead.
No, I like to think the twins will both look at each other and we're like, yes.
Yeah, they pumped your fist. Yes, in unison.
So
yeah.
obvious, but even we think we're being so sneaky about it, but it's so obvious to our massive teacher that we're like fist pumping about it.
Exactly.
And you notice as you look up at Artemis, who's smiling down at you, lifting herself back up, that here they seem more open, more willing to smile, more willing to teach. Their attention is so focused on you. There's nothing drawing them away. There's no paperwork. There's no syndicate to attend to. It's just Artemis. And they walk so quietly and so freely in these woods. Go on then.
I like Artemis better when we get to go out like this.
Oh yeah? Well, I like Artemis best all of the time.
And Sing takes on a kind of competitive
all
look.
the time. Yeah. I also like Artemis all the time.
Well, you know what, Seir? Since you got to choose where we went last time, I'm gonna choose this time. Let's see.
And Sing strides forward a couple of steps and plants their hands on their hips, looks around in a big, dramatic circle.
I'm gonna do what Hand Artemis has suggested, and I'm gonna listen to my heart.
And they close their eyes, and they place one hand over their heart, and they hold their other hand out like they're a compass pointing, and they start spinning in a circle slowly.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
And they stop, and they point due north.
That way.
Okay. Sayer's ready because I feel the siblings have learned how to share multiple times, and you can see throughout the entire time that Sing's spinning in place, Sayer's like hovering over their shoulders, like trying to look and see which direction they were going to point in, and when they finally do, they're like, all right. And Sayer follows dutifully behind, excitedly behind his sibling.
And you walk. The three of you walk for quite some time again. Another hour or so passes, so I need you to roll me another d20, Sayer.
15. Oh, that's nice.
15. Okay, a 10 and then a 15. So you walk for quite some time, and a notable thing that happens is you reach a part of the forest where you see these huge structures that look like they might have once been temples, now sunken into the earth with a ton of growth on top of it. And then you realize it's not growth. It's actually a flock of birds that look perfectly still. They resemble leaves. And as you approach, they take off at the same time in a huge murmuration, like the rustling of summer leaves rasping above your heads, and then they disappear into the canopy, leaving behind bare stone.
Whoa.
Whoa, that's beautiful. How do they all know how to fly together?
Well, that's a good question. Here's the thing, you two. You don't have to be twins to be connected to each other. See, the red threads of fate bind us all. All of us are connected like a spiderweb or fabric, a woven basket. And inside of that basket is the story, the journey. Come. This place used to be a temple. Why don't we leave an offering as thanks for our peaceful walk through the woods?
Ooh, okay. I know what I want to leave.
And Sing walks up to a half-sunken shrine formed out of a lean-to, because this entire temple is like half in the dirt and half risen out of it. So walking in is kind of like walking into an overhang. And they pause at what appears to have been a shrine a very long time ago, now covered in a ton of moss, a ton of overgrown branches and roots and leaves and pollen, and like an old bird's nest in one corner that's since been abandoned, and another animal's den in another corner that doesn't look that much abandoned, actually. Looks like it might be frequently used, but there's no animal in it currently. And Sing turns to you, Artemis, and says,
Patron Saint, do you have a knife I could use?
A knife? Yes. What do you need a knife for, Sing?
For my offering.
Very well. And Artemis takes a knife, just kind of into their robe, and out of it there's a knife. Very simple, very humble hunting knife with a steel blade that's slightly curved and a leather-wrapped handle. There you go.
Thank you.
And Sing takes the leather-wrapped handle, takes in a deep breath, raises one tress of their starting to grow out long white hair, and they cut off a curl. Confidently, with no fear whatsoever. An 11-year-old, and yet they hold this weapon like they know what they have to do with it. And they place their hair on the shrine and hand the knife back to you.
Sayer looks at their sibling with such love and awe. And the way they handle that knife, there was a moment of trepidation as Sayer kind of like watches the knife pass from Artemis's hand to Sing's, and then watches them handle it. And once they've cut off that bit of their wolf cut, Sayer like sparkles in admiration of how cool their sibling is. That's really cool. That's a pretty neat offering. What do I want to give? And Sayer thinks about it for a while. Sing just offered something really personal, and this is a shrine to something forgotten, left behind. And Sayer puts a hand on the wooden sword at his side. And as he thinks about it, unbuckles the belt from his waist and holds it up and walks over towards the shrine and starts whispering towards the shrine as if every stone in this place could talk to him. And he says, This is my favorite sword. Handmaiden made it for me out of really, really special wood. I don't remember the name of it right now, but it's really, really cool. See? And you can see Seir's little fingers trace against a lot of the pattern engraving along the sword. And he chirps up and says, "It makes me feel really strong and that I can protect anyone. Maybe you'll feel safer with it." And then he puts the belt across the pedestal where the altar sits, as if that's the equivalent of strapping a wooden sword across this shrine's body, and smiles in satisfaction.
Whoa. That's a really good gift, Seir. Are you sure? You really love that sword. And my hair's just gonna grow back in a year.
Well, maybe the shrine's lonely. You could use a little toy to play with. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all the birds just left. So maybe they can play with my sword until the birds come back.
Okay. Man, I would love to see a bird use a sword. Do you think they'd use their wings to hold it, or their mouth? Or their talons?
I vote for talons.
Talons.
That's
I
cool.
think mouth.
And I think Sing has already moved on from the shrine offering, though Artemis, you notice that there was something in the twitch of their mouth when they cut their hair off that made you think they were thinking of fate, and fate's short, impossibly short, viciously short hair. And then Sing moves back toward the entrance of the temple and is jabbering about bird swords.
As the two twins go off, Artemis smiles and turns their back for just a moment and reaches into their mouth where they've bitten the side of their cheek and daubs out the tiniest bit of blood. They didn't want the twins to let them know that they could bleed. And they draw on the stone just below the two offerings a half crescent with their finger before they pull themselves back up. "All right, you two, we're close to the river now."
We're not. Hold on. I'm not gonna move on from that, C. Thomas. That was messed up, and I loved it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That is metal as fuck. I'm not
That's
gonna
so
bleed
cool.
in front of them. 100%
Oh my God.
believe. Sayer does not, to this day, as mid-20-year-old, does not believe that the hand of fate can bleed. For
Yeah.
sure.
She can't. Not unless she wants to.
Jesus. Oh, I love that. Okay, so the three of you make your way out of the temple, and you continue north. Until at the top of the next hour, you reach something that tugs at the bottom of your soul, Seir. The story has 3 voices. The voices have infinite sound. This time, the first voice comes in the form of an omen. Seir, you and Sing have entered a more shaded part of the forest. The canopy here thickens above your heads, tightening the fingers of their branches together to blot out the sun's shine. It is colder here, significantly colder, and quieter, too. The birds do keep chirping, but their voices sound muffled and distant, like you're at the bottom of a well. And Sing continues marching forward with the same fate-strong confidence as always, but something about this place begins to slow you. That tug, that tether, that omen, beginning to bubble somewhere underneath your ribcage. It's a feeling that something's about to happen.
Seir slows down for sure, and he's not the trained hunter that he is in the future. There's no time, there's no urgency. I think that's what it is, fear and urgency, that causes him to have to take stock of the surroundings, figure out the next 5-6 moves before he has to make it. He just slows and listens to the forest, looks at the leaves fall, the muffled sound of the birds coalescing around his head like they're just out of reach, and he's at the bottom of a well hearing them. And as he slows, he's looking for it. There's no urgency to call after their sibling, just to find where this tug is, where the sense is. Just like Artemis taught him to when he was so very young, to try and look for it. Where are you? I can feel you. Where are you? As he kind of slows his step to try and look for this tug.
And Seir, you hear it. Or rather, no, you don't hear it. Because it is not sound, but the absence of sound that alerts you to its presence. The birds, you don't know when it happened, but it does. The birds stop singing. The insects stop chirping. The forest becomes completely silent. Aside from your own footsteps, your own heartbeat, your own breath coming in and out of your nose. And then you see it. Beyond the forest, not in the wood, but on the horizon, due south. You see a beast. It's out of the reach of the wood. It is so huge. It must be huge, because even from here, from this distance, it looks large. You think it's trees at first, moving trees, and then you realize what those trees are. They are legs, extending upward, feeding into a body with black fur. And no, not thunderbolts streaking across the sky, but antlers. Massive antlers. A deer, a stag, with pelt made of shadow.
And Seir crouches low, trying to take the entirety of this entity's being into his tiny little eyes as he looks at it. And there's a very abrupt stop. I imagine that even Sing feels it, and obviously the Great Huntress feels it as well, as the little one crouches down and looks up and just whispers, "There you are. What are you?"
And Seir, as you continue to watch, you see a second deer, much smaller than this one. This deer actually looks like the size of a normal beast, a regular animal, but with the same black, storm dark fur, and just two tiny little nubs protruding from its forehead. A baby, a child. It comes out of the shadows and it nuzzles against the lower body of its parent, the massive and terrifying stag.
And I think this is a moment where Seir lets the omen take him. This is before the fear, before the desperation to avoid it. No, this is a young one, eager to learn more. And as he looks, he closes his eyes. And Connie, what I would like to do is attune in to this experience of this omen and look through the eyes of the smaller deer.
Roll me a d20.
I will roll a d20. Please don't be mad at me, d20. Okay, that's fine. Would a 13 do it?
Well, that is an unlucky number. So
I know. I was just like,
I'm gonna let that I'm gonna let that oracle speak for itself. So as you crouch down, you close your eyes and you focus on this set of animals, this set of majestic and also terrifying beasts. You try to link yourself with the smaller deer. You imagine what it's like to feel the undergrowth underneath your hands. No, your hooves. To smell the mulch, to hear the birds fall silent, to look up at the great huntress, no. At the devil stag, no. At your mother. What could have been your mother? At fate? No. Someone else? No. The stag. And as you open your eyes, you see a wall of black fur extending upward, and you feel your 4 hooves planted in the loam, and you can feel the pain, the soreness of new nubs trying to push themselves out of your forehead. And you feel the love swelling in your chest, swelling in your heart as you look up at your parent. And as your parent starts to turn its massive head down at you in the seconds before your gazes meet, you know Seir, the real Seir, the boy Seir, crouching dozens and dozens of feet away from this encounter, that as soon as this stag sees you, it will recognize that it is not its child it's looking at, but something else gazing through the eyes of its child. And everything that happens after that will go wrong. You hear your heart thrumming in your chest, you and the baby deer's heart thrumming in unison, as the head starts to swivel down, the eyes start to fix on you, and then a gentle tap on your arm. Your actual arm, your person arm, your mortal arm, and you are startled, not suddenly, but gently out of this vision, as though waking out of a dream, slipping from one world to another, and it is your sibling who's tapped you on the shoulder and has lifted you out of this vision. Seir?
Sing. Hi. And I think Sing can notice, and probably Artemis as well. Honestly, Artemis sees all, let's be honest. Seir's eyes are massive plates. His pupils are wide, taking in all the light, and there's almost like a light thrumming that his pupils are doing from whatever that experience was. This is an 11-year-old who knows not yet the fear of something wrong, the fear of life at risk or danger yet. But the body doesn't lie, and he's panting a little bit and says, Sing, sorry, I was looking, and gestures to where the 2 deer are, if they're still there. I think
They're not.
They are. They're not.
Artemis is looking in that direction already, as though she had followed your gaze there. And the huntress is staring with those wrong, beautiful eyes out at the horizon where that image had been a second before. And there's a moment where their eyes are not on you, and the expression on their face is not for you. And then it turns back to you. Back to the both of you. And Artemis kneels down, getting to eye level with the 2 twins. Well spotted, Seir, but that one is not for us. That one is older.
Oh.
More ancient. A hunter knows when to pursue and when to relent. We must leave those bones for now. That one is greater than us. So, come. Let us go.
Yes, Hand. And Seir keeps the little secret of what they actually did. Looking through the eyes of that young fawn, feeling that intensity of this greater one's gaze. The love that he felt, that he longs for, that he can't quite really explain. And at think Seir looks back one more time at the horizon beneath the trees, manifesting. It's a childlike manifestation of trying to see once again what he knew he saw, but it's not there. And so instead follows immediately after, and I think this will be really cute, immediately looks onto the ground and the mulch and the loam and sees the hand's footprints and starts walking in those footprints, following Artemis.
As for Sing, they looked curiously in the direction you and Artemis cast your gazes in, but they see nothing. Or maybe they do see something, but it doesn't show on their face aside from a quirked brow and a tilted head, for the Chosen One at the age of 11 has not yet known fear. And they smile brightly, and they go, okay, shrug, and they turn north again and start walking off, not following in Artemis's footsteps, but forging a path of their own, unconsciously following the road that many rabbits before them have tread.
Okay.
And you walk. You walk for some time. And then finally, you reach it. The story has 3 voices. The voices have infinite sound. This time, the first voice comes in the form of a story spoken from the lips of the patron saint of mortals. Eventually, the 3 of you break through this shaded area, and you come across the banks of a dazzling, slow-moving river. And the water of this river is clear, and it's glimmering. It's like a midday jewel, and the 2 suns overhead send a miraculous scattering of light over its surface. You're not sure what is light and what are fish jumping right underneath the tides of the shallows. And Sing, as soon as they see this river, they wiggle with excitement, and they almost start to bound forward, and then they remember to ask and be polite, and they turn back to Artemis and they say, can we play in the water? Please, Artemis, can we?
Seir joins in, but hasn't said a word, but keeps like darting their eyes over to the water and then back to Artemis.
Well, I suppose it is your birthday. Yes, you may play in the river.
Yeah!
Yay! And Sing is tearing down the bank and is already starting to like pull off their shoes, right? Pull off any extra clothes and start diving into the water.
Wait, Sing, wait for me! And Seir's in the middle trying to remove like his shoes and is like skipping, trying to remove the shoes, trying to like take off the trans black shirt, like Henley shirt he's wearing, and like trips multiple times on the rocks of the banks, and then just as we hit the water, falls like face first into the water to chase after Sing.
And Sing is shouting, last twin in, does the other one's homework, no take backs!
No, you ran before I did!
Well, you better catch up, slowpoke! And Sing, bam, right into the water, vanishes underneath the tide.
Seir like jumps in and is like, hey, no fair! And is readying in true childish fashion, arm against the water, readying the biggest wave to splash Sing with as soon as they emerge onto the surface.
Yeah, you wait for like maybe 3 seconds, and then Sing pops up like about maybe 10 feet away.
Ha! Gotcha!
Wave. Hit with the wave.
You take this! And they start splashing you back.
Yeah.
And the 2 of you are just playing, right? You're playing in the water like kids do. And Artemis, as these twins are playing, where do we find you?
Artemis is on the bank. They have collected the thrown clothes and shoes from both of the twins to make sure that no crabs scuttle off with them to make a new home out of. They've lined them up nicely for when they're done. And they're just keeping an eye on the two of them, watching over them, playing caretaker, playing teacher, playing advocate, playing at something that they've never really let themselves be. But they watch. And they smile just a little bit. And they wish that every day could be like this. Could be easy for them.
Artemis, only you notice this. As you're on this bank watching the twins play, you realize it's not just a river. You're not just in a hilly area. The entire surface of where you're standing used to be a massive statue in dedication to a long-forgotten god. And this river follows the path of a tear duct down the side of the god's face. And you see what used to be a nose rising up in a gentle slope several dozen feet farther west, following the flow of the river.
I know. I brought them here for a reason.
Minutes pass. Many minutes, long minutes, and yet they feel so short. As Seir, you play with your twin in the water, splashing at each other, running out when you get a little too cold, and then darting back in when you get a little too hot. Sing points out a bunch of different creatures in the water very excitedly to you. You see fish, of course, some of whom are swimming upstream, and you also see little, like, crabs hanging onto the sides of the river
Seir,
wall.
100%, whenever Sing points out a creature, whether it's a crab or like a little fish, does attempt picking it up and showing like shoving the animal into Sing's face. There's
It like
definitely a
leaps
little
out of your
moment-
hands every time.
Yeah.
One time it actually leaps out and smacks Sing in the
Smacks.
face.
Yes.
Ow! Do it
Oh,
again.
sorry.
Do it again. Do
Got
it again.
And he crouches into the water and grabs another fish.
And Sing, there's a moment where Sing like snatches a crab up and like shoves it into your face like they're trying to get you back for the fish, and the crab reaches forward and then pinches your nose.
Ah!
Carefully.
Oh, sorry, sorry. Please let go. Please let go. Please let go. And there's a moment as we're coaxing the pincer off
Mr. Crab
of
is
your
my
nose.
face.
The crab clacks its claws together angrily, and Sing gently and apologetically sets it back into the tide. And by this point, it's starting to get late. The two suns are beginning to set in the sky, and a chillness is beginning to descend across the river. A chillness you can't even quite shake, even in your brakes, as you climb back onto the banks. It's starting to get rather cold, and you're getting spent, you're getting tired.
Okay, the two of you. And Artemis unwraps the shawl from off her shoulders and kind of puts it over both of your heads and does the like, to towel you both off. Go on. Put your robes back on and your shoes. I'll carry you back
Yes,
home, okay?
hand.
Yes, hand.
Okay.
I'm a little sad that you're getting so much older. Won't be able to do this for very much longer. And Artemis hooks an arm underneath Sing, props her up in their arms like they weigh nothing. Like they're so small and so easily breakable and held with so much care.
And Sing giggles and like kicks their hands and feet, like pretending to resist.
And they say, I don't believe that, hand. I bet you could carry me home no matter how old I am.
And Seir also pipes up and says, "Yeah, hand, you're the strongest ever. You can do anything. You can carry anything."
Yeah, you're like the most mega strong, opposite of normal, strongest person ever. Except maybe for Wuyan. Actually, I don't know. Hey, Seir,
And Sing pokes their head from around Artemis's waist to look at you.
if the patron saint of mortals and the patron saint of heroes got into an arm wrestling contest, who do you think would win?
Artemis, obviously, without
I think Wuyan
hesitation.
would win.
No,
As
I
Sing
think
says that
Artemis
just to
would
debate
win.
with you.
And Seir just finally puts on his shoe and like skips forward, one-legged towards Artemis and says, "No, I think Artemis will win." And Seir is the quintessential younger sibling, truly in every fashion, where it is so easy for Sing to rile him up and get into a debate, and he gets so flustered and flummoxed by it. It's very entertaining.
Yeah, and Sing knows and just pushes your buttons in the right way and is saying,
You know what? Even if Artemis is stronger than Wuyin, which maybe they are, maybe they're not, maybe they're equal strength, I think the patron saint of mortals would let Wuyin win because they're nice. They're secretly nice, and Wuyin doesn't like losing.
Oh, how insightful, Sing. Well, I'll tell you one thing that you're right about. Unequivocally, always. I'll always carry you home. Both of you.
Aww. Thanks, Artemis.
Seir, would you like to ride on my shoulders?
Seir, kind of like, twiddles with his fingers a little bit, and he looks at you, Artemis, with such reverence, such worship this little boy has for you, and he says, Can I hold your hand?
Of course you can. Just make sure you watch your feet. We have a bit
Okay.
We have a ways to go until we're home. And Artemis holds out her hand for you.
And the little hunter takes it.
And despite the fact that you've only ever really seen Artemis do paperwork, her hand is rough, calloused, hard, but warm against yours.
and as you start to carry and guide the twins back home, it is Sing in your grasp that kind of calls out curiously and with a kind of note of deep inquisition and a desire to learn, yes, a childlike curiosity, but also something that they've started to affect, especially as they've gotten older. It's an edge of not quite melancholy, but a deep pondering. As Sing says,
Hand Artemis? Where did you
Yes.
learn all this stuff? Was it fate?
That's such an interesting question, Sing. But both of you are getting a little bit tired now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Why don't I tell you the story while we're heading back?
Okay.
okay.
And when Sing, like, Seir triggered Sing to yawn,
Yep.
and Sing triggers Seir back again to yawn. And Seir is doing the incredibly neurodivergent thing where, if you know truly, where, like, rubbing your eyes is like a stim and it feels really good. That's what Seir's doing with one of his eyes as he, like, leans in towards Artemis and says, I love stories. Tell me a story, Han. Tell us a story.
Yeah, tell us a story. Tell us a story. Oh, tell us a story.
All right, then. And Artemis tells you a story. And as you walk, she carries Sing. You walk beside her until you're too tired to walk anymore, and Artemis, without a word, hoists you up on the other side so that you and Sing are carried in their arms. And you go back the way you came, past the ridge, noting the bear and the wolf sharing their prey now, eating the bones together. You pass the trees and the bushes where you and Sing had decided which path to take. You pass that darkened temple, and you pass even through Artemis's office, past the other two Hands of Fates, all the way back to your shared quarters at the Syndicate. All the way back to bed. And what's funny, Seir, is that the story that Artemis weaves you is not one that you can remember. You recall its comforts, the twists and the turns, caring for the characters, caring about what the patron saint said, but you cannot remember exactly what the saint said to you that day. What secrets she wove into the journey, long forgotten. All you remember was that there was the moon and her brother, the sun.
And we're going to end the session there.